Hey everyone, I'm here with a 2022 Audi A4 40 TFSI Premium Quattro, and today I just want to do a little walk around review of this car, as my car, which is a 2020 A4 45 TFSI Premium Quattro, is in the shop getting fixed currently, and I've had this thing for about 3 days, and I got another 2 days that I'll be having it, and I just kind of want to go over all the differences with it. And in some ways, Audi is starting to cost cut a little bit on their cars, and I know many Audi enthusiasts know this over the last couple years, especially after the whole Dieselgate debacle a couple years ago and parent company VW cost cutting a little bit ever since then. And I think ever since the pandemic hit, it's even gone a step further. And so today I want to talk about how this Audi might be a little less premium than some of the ones just a few years ago in terms of the fit and finish and features for the money, and just go over what I like and dislike about the car, so stay tuned. Alright, so we'll take a look around this 2022 Audi A4 40 TFSI Quattro premium trim line. This has the advanced exterior appearance package, so it's not the sport line that you get with the 45 TFSI. That means that you get the standard suspension tuning, which is more comfort oriented, and that means that the ride height's about 0.75, 3/4 of an inch higher than the sport suspension model. And this one has the optional, I think they're $800 18-inch premium wheels. This is the Glacier White Metallic, so the same exact color as my car. It has chrome accents on the door handles, which is on the comfort-oriented advanced trimline exterior. It does not have the sport side sills, sport front fascia, or the sport rear fascia. So pretty much it's just more of the comfort and luxury-oriented trim line. And that means that the front end is just a little more like classic Audi, with like a slightly smaller grille than my car, a little less blacked out, more chrome, and more chrome accents on the bottom here, on the bottom of the bumper. And we'll step inside in a minute, but just to kind of go over a few things on this car, it definitely seems like a hair less expensive in terms of its build quality than previous Audi models, so let's get to those. All right, so stepping around the back side of the car, pretty much all Audi models for 2021 and newer, all the Audi A4 models have a gloss black shark fin antenna, so it's no longer painted to match the body color of the car itself, which is definitely a cost-saving measure because it commonizes the bill of materials needed for this component to be installed on the car, so they know that every single A4 is going to have a gloss black shark fin antenna. But I think it slightly cheapens the look, and you know, it adds a little bit of contrast on this white model. But if it was black against like a bright blue and nothing else on the car was black painted, I'd be a little, you know, I wouldn't be the happiest person, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, because it definitely is a very small little feature of the car. And then also, this car does not have the convenience package. It's a loaner car that Audi provided to me, and so this car does not have blind spot monitoring, does not have adaptive cruise control, does not have parking sensors front or rear, does not have satellite radio, and a few other features that are not included on it either, which is kind of a shame, because this car is, you know, $42,830 as equipped here in this video, so it's pretty expensive car. I know the average transaction price of a car nowadays, as of the filming of this video, August 2022, is $49,000. But for $42,800, so nearly 43 grand, you don't get some of those features that you would expect in a luxury branded car. So I'd highly recommend going for the convenience package. And I think at this point in 2022, blind spot monitoring and parking sensors and satellite radio should be standard on all Audi A4 models. This is not even the base model Audi, it's the second from the lowest, you know, sedan, and it's, you know, so it starts at 40 grand, a little over 40 grand after destination. So this car should have those features as standard in my eyes. Another few items of concern just with this Audi A4 is that it does not have auto dimming side view mirrors, so you do get glare when you are, you know, have people in behind you on the highway at night. So there's no auto dimming function on the mirrors, which replacement cost and insurance cost wise, that's great, but from a convenience standpoint on a luxury car, that's not there. You also do not have the grab to open door handles on the front or rear doors, and you do not have a button on the back side of the trunk to be able to open the trunk without pulling out the key fob, and you do not have the kick to open lift gate or trunk lid. So, you know, many cars way less expensive have that as standard, even like a Nissan Sentra with a package on the base model or the second trim level has that, and that's in the low $20,000 range. So thinking about this car at $42,800 does not have those features. That's just another thing that that I think Audi should include for the price. And then stepping inside to the interior here, we'll open the front doors and take a look at these standard advanced line seats. These do not have the aggressive bolsters or the contouring or the extra stitching around the more of the bottom section here that you would get on the Sportline seats, and you don't have the thicker bolsters that you would normally get. You do have adjustable head restraints that come in and out and go up and down, but you just do not have those same, like the level of seats that you would expect in a $43,000 luxury branded car. So I would highly recommend, just as I said before, the Sport Line exterior package, which would be on the 45 TFSI models. Would highly recommend that. And then closing the door here, the doors do not close with that same like easy effort that, you know, I've had in the past with previous Audis. So like, you know, they really take like a really good throw of the doors, and luxury cars typically have very low closing efforts for the rear doors and front doors, and you have to constantly throw the door harder than you would expect, and you feel like you're almost slamming it. So I don't know if the latch is not lined up correctly in the door, or the striker on the B pillar and C pillar are not lined up correctly, or if the doors were just not fit correctly, or if there was some type of cost saving measure in terms of the door functionality that Audi implemented. But it definitely seems like a few things there are not quite as high quality as they were just a few years ago. Now that we're inside the interior, looking at this standard glossy wood trim that's here, you notice that it definitely looks more plasticky and not as open pore high quality that you would get on the other Audi models. And it just contrasts in kind of a weird way with this black interior that doesn't quite match. It goes better with the tan interior, in my opinion, but it just looks kind of fake and plasticky for the price range. And so I think it just is looking a little outdated in terms of that wood trim that's already in here. And then even little things like the fit and finish of this volume control knob here. This line, I can't really show you on camera, but this edge on the left side is raised significantly more than the flush fitment that's on the right side of this panel right here. So it doesn't quite fit right. And there's not, and then I don't know if this is missing because of this car that's a loaner car, or if Audi ditched this entirely, but there is normally a cigarette lighter style outlet cover that goes on here, and it's not that like knurled metallic feeling one that they used to have, and now it's just kind of a plain black cheap feeling plastic one that goes inside there. And so that's just another thing that adds up to this feeling a little bit less expensive than it used to in terms of this B9 generation A4. And then two more things to note on this Audi A4. The front suspension is the standard suspension tuning for the A4. It's not the Sport Line suspension tuning. And so it should have a softer ride, and I experienced the softer ride in the 2021 A4 Advanced line that I had. But this one seems to have some either issues with the front suspension, like it wasn't assembled correctly at the factory, or the supplier of the strut or the spring did not assemble it correctly, because it reverberates and shakes the whole front end over sharp bumps in the road. And I've checked the tire pressure. It's at the specified 36 PSI cold tire pressure. But going over expansion joints on the highway, or sharp bumps or potholes, little potholes, things like that, it shakes the entire front end of the car. So I think that there's either something wrong, or the rubber isolators that are between the strut and the strut mount were removed for cost savings on this base model. And if it's the cost saving aspect, I'm gonna have to ding Audi for that, because it, you know, as a luxury car, this should not have that reverberation that happens. This should have those rubber isolators in there if they're not in there already. And the last thing to note would be the engine start-stop system on this car. The odd thing is whenever I lift my foot off the brake to restart the engine, there is this like slight honk noise that sounds almost like someone's honking at you from like 2 cars behind you. And it's very light, and you can't really hear it if you have the music on, but even with the windows closed, you hear this slight like honk noise, which is really odd. And I feel like there's something wrong. You know, maybe it's restarting the AC compressor, or some vacuum is you know, pressurized and not working correctly inside the engine. But either way, there is like this noise that happens when the car restarts with the engine start stop. And then when you lock the car, the chirp of that sound when you lock the car, and we can demonstrate it here. But getting out of the car, hitting the chirp, the lock button on the key fob, it sounds kind of like a dinky chirp in comparison to the old chirp noise that it used to have, where it sounded really like solid and loud and like authoritative, the way that an Audi should be. But now it just sounds kind of dinky and sounds kind of cheap. So I feel like there's a few things in this car that definitely have lost its luster for this A4 generation, or B9 generation of the A4. And I hope Audi for 2024, when they come out with a new version of this car, the B10 generation, that they address some of those items and not keep cost cutting this car down further and further, even though the price keeps going higher and higher. And a few things to note that I really like about this car would be the fuel economy. I consistently get upper 30 mile per gallon in the city and you know, around town, and on the highway I've gotten it all the way up to 48 mpg, which I don't know if the trip computer was overestimating, but I've been able to see more like 45 miles per gallon on the highway doing 75 miles an hour. So 45 miles per gallon on the highway is fantastic. The style of the car still looks really nice. It's super quiet, it's super smooth when you're not hitting those sharp bumps in the road, and it's still, you know, overall, you get in it, it still is impressive. Has the Audi beam ring lights there that are dealer accessory that shine on the ground, and then you also get ambient lighting on the interior and a fantastic infotainment system and plenty of get up and go with 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds. And just in terms of the styling, it still looks like an Audi, still looks sharp, still is built fairly well considering this generation of the car and that it's aging a little bit. So I will say that those are the huge highlights of this car. So with that said, I just want to wrap up this video and just, you know, I know that I was hating on this car a little bit in the video, but I still love it, still think it's a great car. But just keep that in mind if you're looking for the B9 generation of the A4. I feel like after 2020 and to a further extent after 2021, there's a few things that are definitely seem to be cheapening out on this car as they find more cost savings with it, and maybe the build quality is getting a little worse, or maybe this one's just not quite right. But you know, if this is my experience, I'm sure that there's another 2022 owner out there who's had these same concerns with their car. So I just want to point those out here for everybody on watching the video. So if you have any questions or concerns, please put them in the section below, and have a great day, everyone. Thank you for watching.